Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the most important leaders in American history. He fought for fairness, equality, and human rights during a time when Black people in the United States were still treated unfairly because of their race. King believed deeply that all people should be treated with dignity, respect, and kindness. He also believed strongly in nonviolence, meaning that people should stand up for justice without hurting others. His work and ideas changed the country in powerful ways. He inspired millions of people during his lifetime, and he continues to inspire millions more today. King's life story shows how one person with courage, hope, and determination can help transform a nation. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia, in the southern United States. His birth name was Michael King Jr., but his father later changed both their names to Martin Luther King, after a Christian leader from Germany. King grew up in a religious family. His father and grandfather were both pastors, and his family encouraged education, faith, and service to others. Even though King was raised in a loving home, he could not escape the reality of racism in the South. When he was young, he had white friends he used to play with. But when they grew older, their parents said the children could no longer play together because Martin was Black. This experience hurt him deeply and helped him understand the pain caused by racial prejudice. As King grew older, he became an excellent student. He skipped 2 grades in school and entered Morehouse College in Atlanta when he was only 15 years old. At first, he did not plan to become a preacher like his father, but his experiences in college and the influence of religious leaders convinced him that the church was a powerful place to help people. He decided to devote his life to helping people, teaching love, and fighting injustice. After finishing college, he went to Crozer Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania, where he studied religion and philosophy. He worked hard, read widely, and learned about leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, who used nonviolent protest to fight for freedom in India. Gandhi's ideas had a strong influence on King and helped shape his belief that peace, love, and truth were the best tools to fight injustice. King continued his education at Boston University, where he earned a PhD in theology. While living in Boston, he met Coretta Scott, a talented singer and activist. They married in 1953 and eventually had 4 children. Why? Alonda, Martin III, Dexter, and Bernice. Coretta supported King's work throughout his life and later became a leader in civil rights as well. After finishing his doctorate, King accepted a job as pastor of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama. He was only 26 years old, but he already had a strong vision for justice and equality. He did not know that soon he would become a central leader in a major national movement. King's rise to national attention began in December 1955 with the Montgomery Bus Boycott. At that time, Montgomery's public buses were segregated. Black passengers had to sit in the back and give up their seats to white passengers if the front filled up. On December 1, 1955, a Black woman named Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white man. She was arrested, and the Black community decided to protest by refusing to ride the buses. King was chosen to lead the protest because he was educated, respected, and new to town, which meant he had fewer enemies among local white leaders. The boycott lasted for 381 days. During this time, King gave speeches encouraging people to stay peaceful and determined. Protesters walked, carpooled, and supported one another despite threats, violence, and arrests. Finally, the Supreme Court ruled that bus segregation was unconstitutional. The victory made King famous across the country and showed that nonviolent protest could create real change. After the success of the bus boycott, King helped found the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, in 1957. This organization brought together Black churches and civil rights leaders across the South to fight segregation through peaceful protests. King traveled constantly, giving speeches, meeting with community leaders, and organizing demonstrations. He encouraged people to confront injustice with courage, not anger. His message was simple but powerful: love your enemies, refuse to hate, and stand firm for what is right. King believed that peaceful resistance would open the hearts of opponents and prove that justice was on the side of the civil rights movement. One of the major events King led with the SCLC was the Birmingham Campaign in 1963. Birmingham, Alabama was known as one of the most segregated and violent cities in the South. Black people there faced discrimination everywhere, from schools and restaurants to jobs and public spaces. When King and other leaders organized peaceful marches, the city's police chief, Bull Connor, responded with extreme brutality. Police used dogs, fire hoses, and arrests against peaceful protesters, many of whom were children. The violent images shocked Americans watching the news. Instead of weakening the movement, the attacks strengthened it. The nation saw the cruelty of segregation and felt sympathy for the peaceful protesters. King was arrested during this campaign and wrote his famous Letter from Birmingham Jail, where he explained why waiting for justice was unacceptable. He wrote that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, reminding people that they all shared a responsibility to fight unfairness. The success of the Birmingham Campaign helped lead to one of the most important gatherings in American history, the March on Washington. For Jobs and Freedom in August 1963, more than 250,000 people of all races traveled to Washington, D.C., to demand equality and civil rights. It was one of the largest peaceful demonstrations ever held in the United States. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his legendary "I Have a Dream" speech at the Lincoln Memorial. In simple, powerful words, he described his dream of a world where children of all races could live together in harmony, where the color of someone's skin did not matter, and where freedom and justice were available to everyone. The speech gave hope to millions of Americans and became a symbol of the civil rights movement. Today, it is remembered as one of the greatest speeches in history. King's leadership helped push the government to create new laws. The most important of these were the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The Civil Rights Act made it illegal to segregate public places such as schools, restaurants, hotels, and parks. It also banned employment discrimination based on race, religion, or gender. The Voting Rights Act protected the right of Black citizens to vote by removing unfair rules that Southern states used to block them. King knew that voting was essential because it allowed people to choose leaders who would protect their rights. These laws changed the nation and opened doors that had been closed for generations. Despite these victories, the civil rights movement faced many challenges. King continued to lead marches and protests in dangerous places, often facing threats, arrests, and violent opposition. In 1965, he led the famous march from Selma to Montgomery to demand voting rights. The first march ended in violence when state troopers attacked peaceful protesters on a bridge, a day now known as Bloody Sunday. The shocking images again awakened national sympathy. King returned for a second march and eventually a third, which succeeded with the protection of federal troops. These marches played an important role in convincing Congress to pass the Voting Rights Act. As time went on, King began to speak not only about racial inequality but also about poverty and war. He believed that all forms of injustice were connected. He argued that it was not enough to end segregation. America also needed to address economic unfairness and the suffering caused by the Vietnam War. In 1967, he gave a brave speech criticizing the war, saying that violence abroad was linked to injustice at home. Many people, even some of his former supporters, criticized him for this. But King believed he had a moral duty to speak the truth, even when it was unpopular. He also launched the Poor People's Campaign, which aimed to bring together people of all races to fight for better jobs, fair wages, and improved living conditions. King wanted America to become a country where everyone had the chance to live a decent and hopeful life. In early 1968, King traveled to Memphis, Tennessee, to support Black sanitation workers who were striking for better pay and safer working conditions. The workers carried signs that said, "I am a man," demanding the respect and dignity that should belong to every human being. King saw their struggle as part of the larger fight for human rights. On April 3, 1968, he delivered his final speech, known as "I've Been to the Mountaintop." In this speech, he spoke with a sense of destiny. He said he might not live to see the promised land of equality, but he believed the movement would reach it someday. His words were filled with hope, courage, and faith. The next day, on April 4, 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated while standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis. He was only 39 years old. His death shocked the world and led to grief, anger, and riots in many American cities. Millions of people mourned the loss of a man who had dedicated his life to peace and justice. Although his life was cut short, his ideas and his example continued to guide the civil rights movement and many other movements for social change around the world. Even after his death, King's impact did not fade. His wife, Coretta Scott King, carried on his work and fought for civil rights, peace, and justice. King became a symbol of hope for people everywhere who dreamed of a better world. In 1983, the United States created a national holiday in his honor, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which is now celebrated every year on the third Monday of January. On this day, people across the country remember King's life, reflect on his teachings, and take part in service projects to help their communities. The holiday reminds Americans of King's belief that everyone has a role to play in making society more fair, compassionate, and loving. Today, King is remembered as one of the greatest leaders in world history. His message of nonviolence continues to inspire movements for justice in many countries. His speeches are still studied in schools, and his words are often quoted during protests, debates, and discussions about equality. King taught that real change requires patience, courage, and a willingness to love even those who oppose you. He believed that love is stronger than hate and that truth is stronger than fear. These ideas remain important today as people around the world continue to fight against discrimination, prejudice, and injustice. Perhaps the most lasting part of King's legacy is his dream. His vision of a world where people of all races live together as equals still challenges and inspires us. While progress has been made since his time, many of the issues he fought against, racism, poverty, and violence, still exist. King's life reminds us that the fight for justice is never finished. Each generation must continue the work by standing up for what is right and treating others with kindness and respect. His story teaches us that ordinary people can change the world when they act with love, determination, and hope. Martin Luther King Jr.'s history is a reminder that the struggle for equality is difficult but worthwhile. From his childhood in the segregated South to his leadership in national movements, King showed extraordinary courage. He faced danger, threats, and even death, yet he remained committed to nonviolence and compassion. His speeches and actions helped break down unfair laws and awaken the conscience of a nation. He showed that peaceful protest can be a powerful force for change. Most importantly, he helped America move closer to its promise that all people are created equal. In the end, Martin Luther King Jr.'s life was a testament to faith, hope, and the power of love. He believed in the goodness within people, even when society seemed full of hatred. He believed that justice would prevail, even when progress was slow. And he believed that each person has the responsibility to help build a better future. His legacy lives on in the movements he inspired, the laws he helped create, and the hearts of people who continue to dream of a fairer and more peaceful world. King once said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." His life helped bend that arc, and his dream continues to guide us toward a more just and loving society.